Kev, last week someone mentioned Demolition, and we kind of got on the bandwagon that, yeah, I mean, it makes sense that they should be in the Hall of Fame. And big outpouring from the public going along with it. Then I remembered something. I actually didn't realize part of this, but I did remember that Bill Eadie told me, can't remember if it was on air on one of the kayfabe shows or if it was off air, that he fought WWE to keep the Demolition Axe trademark. So, but then someone informed me that he was part of the concussion lawsuit, the big class action suit against WWE. And these might have been reasons, very logical thinking would tell you that they were probably reasons, that Bill Eadie is not in the WWE Hall of Fame, whether for Demolition, Superstar, whatever. What was he, Mongol? But anyway, it led me to thinking about some of these other lawsuits that had been floating around the wrestling zeitgeist over the past few decades. And there were so much more than I even remembered. The concussion lawsuit, this was a big one. I think it was, let me get some of these names here. Billy Jack, Vito, Luther Reigns, Family of Mabel, and Matt Osborne, Road Warrior Animal, Snuka, Orndorff, Chavo, Senior and Junior, Brian Clark, Ahmed Johnson, Kamala, the Hebners, King Kong Bundy, Ken Patera, Sabu, Demolition, John Nord, Johnny the Bull, Jim Brunzell, Butch Reed, Jazz, Janetti, Heinrich, Warlord, Barbarian, a long list. It was dismissed. What do you think about the head trauma thing is real, right? We know this now. We're at a point now where NFL, WWE, everyone's acknowledging that there's a medical responsibility when you employ athletes that are going to participate in this kind of high impact activity. But so many of these issues, specifically the concussions, happened years, in some cases that people were talking about decades, before any of the CTE stuff was really probed and prodded. So can they be held responsible for something, as a company, I mean, well, NFL or WWE, that nobody was aware of?
I would look at it this way, okay? So I would say that if you broke in in the WWE, like if you went through their system and and never took a bump anywhere else, and then when your career was over with the WWE, you found out that you had CTE or had some kind of traumatic brain injury, or you would have maybe a case. But since everybody on that list
was from disparate territories, and
yeah, I know for a fact the first time that I went down to the wrestling ring, and they do the first one where you back then you used to pay $1,500. And they would make you do 500 squats, 500 step-ups, push-ups, sit-ups. And then they'd make you run the ropes, and then they'd bring some shooters in there to sugar you.
For what purpose?
Just to fucking run you off. So you just, they'd get 12 guys down there, take your $1,500, and then nobody'd show up the next Monday for class.
Oh, at wrestling schools.
Yeah, wrestling school.
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. But so I was, of course, I show up Monday down to this Quonset hut in Lovejoy, Georgia, and they're like, nobody's there. So I call the guy that, Buddy Lee, that, I said, I'm down here, man. And he calls Jody, and Jody says, well, who's down there? He goes, you're not going to believe it, man, the big one. So they come down. I wait like a half hour. Somebody shows up. They basically Jody came down and we watched some tapes, and he just talked psychology with me. We didn't do anything the first day. And I would I was working day shift, so I would get off at the Cheetah and go down to this school, which was probably 20 miles south of the Cheetah. And but I remember when finally we started getting some guys down there, and we would do like used to do like we had maybe 10 people, and you'd have 2 in each corner and a guy in the middle, and you would come out and you would hip toss the guy, you would hip toss people. Or you get in a line and then arm drag 10 people and get in the back of that line, and you would do arm drags and hip tosses till it was a boxing ring with plywood with carpet remnants for a padding and canvas, and I remember getting my bell rung like twice the first month. So if you're not smart enough to know that if you continue to do that you're not going. It's like remember when my dad passed, they took me down to do some boxing, and I remember the first time a kid peppered me in the face with that boxing glove, and I was like, oh, that fucking sucks. Like, wow. If I do this the rest of my life, you think that might rattle my brain a little bit?
Yeah.
It's like, come on, guys.
Yeah, I don't know why they kind of the model that they use with this is similar. Assuming responsibility is kind of like what they do with the with rehab, right? Because even if there are guys that worked and smoked and snorted all over the country through the 80s. But the WWE will still cover their rehab, even if their issues were not necessarily related
and they would send
to their time in WWE.
Every January, they send out a form letter that if you need drug help, that they'll pick up the tab.
Yeah, I guess when you become the biggest game in town, that's some of the fallout from that. Having to kind of take responsibility for the entire wrestling industry. Well, I mean, they did swallow up all the territories anyway and kind of assumed them. But with that, they're taking responsibility for assuming the problems that came with some of those territories.
I'll tell you what, one of my when you sent me the list,
yeah,
I had no idea that when Hall and Nash went down and they didn't call us anything and basically let the people think that it was Diesel and Razor coming down, that part of that settlement that the WWE won was that they had first option to buy WCW.
I saw that. Yeah, I have the item here. WWF sued WCW for Kevin and Scott's portrayal of their WWE trademark gimmicks and won. Part of the settlement was that WWE had first chance to purchase WCW if it ever came up for sale.
Now, let's go into the conspiracy theory of
you had a bear in bondage when you came to the ring.
No, I mean, but people say that I single-handedly destroyed WCW. Of course I did. I knew who had first rights to buy. I had a back end on that thing, man. Now it all makes sense, you idiots, doesn't it?
It'll be out there. You laugh, but it'll be out there.
Finger poke of doom. Oh, pay $1 million for WCW?
The toothpick. It wasn't in my notes here, but I know there was an issue, right, with Scott coming out with the toothpick on WCW television. Didn't have the razor chains or anything.
Yeah, but when he was the Diamond Stud, he had a toothpick.
Yeah, but didn't he have to do away with it?
No, I'm talking about when he came out. He debuted the same night as I did as Oz.
Mm-hmm.
So he's in WCW as the Diamond Stud, and he has a toothpick. He takes the toothpick to WCW. I mean, to WWE
to do Razor.
Yeah, to do Razor. and then goes back. So he's already established the toothpick before he went to. I remember when McDevitt was doing the deposition, and they would sit there and they would put, and this is back like, and they would do like slides, and you'd sit there and like, who's this? And I say, Scott Hall. That's not Razor Ramon? No, it's Scott Hall. Well, no, you're asking me who that is. I identify that as Scott Hall. And then he goes on, and who's this? I said, Kevin Nash. He goes, that's not Diesel. Finally, I took my driver's license out, and I said, it's Kevin Nash. I said, you guys aren't that stupid, right?
Trying to get you to say that you are identifying a trademarked character as opposed to the man.
I said I don't call Scott Razor. I don't call Shawn Michaels the Heartbreak Kid. I call Kid. So if anybody, I mean, you might be able to get me on that.
No, but he was Lightning Kid before he was the 1, 2, 3 Kid, so it could be a reference to that.
So it's like one of those things where,
Bill Eadie sues WWE regarding the trademark of demolition. Okay, he's released from WWE contract due to a failure to perform, according to WWE. Eadie begins to perform as Axis the Demolisher, and the WWF sues him. Eadie countersues regarding a supposed promised contract for life as an agent. Eventually, this gets settled out of court, and I guess that's where the trademark is given to him, according to him. Warrior sues WWE for his portrayal in the self-destruction of the Ultimate Warrior DVD in 2005. Warrior claimed the release of the DVD violated a settlement agreement regarding the trademark and use of them. The court ruled against him. Warrior sued in 1996, claiming ownership of the Warrior name and trademark, and won. I wonder if before or after that he made himself Warrior.
He made himself Warrior at that point.
Okay, so that's where it happened.
He changed his legal name and everything else.
Right.
What's his name? He came in like 98. Jim Helwick.
No. But did his wife become Mrs. Warrior?
She's Dana Warrior.
Dana Warrior. Okay. Listen, Dana. That's right. That's her name. There he is. 93. There you go. Okay. Alberto Del Rio sued to have his 90-day non-compete nullified and settled by WWE. Del Rio was prevented from working in Mexico due to his non-compete. See, now we get into this 1099 independent contractor non-compete shit. You can't tell your plumber that he's not allowed to work on your neighbor's house next week.
Nope.
WWE did allow him to work after reaching a deal, mainly to keep him quiet from talking about racist instances he dealt with in the company. I know this because we hired him right out of this to do a U-shoot. And we knew there was stuff he could and couldn't talk about, but he was pretty forthcoming with as much as he could regarding his time over there.
I always got along with him.
I thought he was cool as hell.
Yeah, I'm just like a good guy.
Jesse Ventura sued Titan Sports for royalties, the DVD deals, and he won in 1991. Jesse was told, see, I had gimmick infringement there. That's yours. I can't do the Jesse. That's entirely yours. He was told that only feature performers got royalties during his contract negotiation regarding videotape sales. Jesse finds out in November of 91 that wasn't true. He sues for $2 million, and he wins $801,333 from a jury, along with $8,600 in back pay. Vince was so mad he would go on to edit out Jesse's voice from all former broadcasts. What was the DVD deal for you guys? Was it a regular? I mean, it's not like a SAG thing, but
well, it was actually. I mean, it was VHS when I got there.
That's true. All right, so videotapes.
Yeah.
You got videotape money?
Yeah.
You did. Okay.
No, we got a whole royalty thing. I get a breakdown of every item that's like my royalty breakdowns from quarterly is.
You should show that to Podcast Heat. I'd like a similar breakdown for this show. Brock and WWE sued each other in 2006 for the right to wrestle. Brock wanted to wrestle, and WWE attempted to upload their non-compete from his walking out of the WWE in 2004. 9 months after he walked out, Brock went to Japan to explore opportunities. WWE threatened him not to wrestle. Brock sued, stating the non-compete was 6 years and was too long, and he needed to earn an income. The judge rendered the deal dead. But a 6-year non-compete for an independent contract. This is madness. Contractor.
That's like the our we can terminate you for no reason whatsoever.
Right. But and then there were
64
64 before that.
Yeah, 64 before that.
64 reasons in a WWE contract that you could be terminated for, and the 65th is basically we can terminate you for whatever reason.
No reason whatsoever. Just get rid of you. Why the fuck would you sign that? I didn't. I said no. I'm not signing this.
Why bother with the 64 though? Why just have that one? We can fire you
because. See, the whole thing is anytime somebody sends you a 835-page document, you have to do one of two things. You have to have the due diligence to read it yourself and make notes and everything else throughout it, and then take it to your lawyer so you can say, could you check this? Because you sure as hell ain't going to give that many pages to a lawyer and put him on the clock.
Oh,
because,
forget it.
Yeah,
fortune.
You'll be 10 grand in the hole before you even fucking determine whether or not you want to sign the thing.
Get up on that mic, big dog. I want to hear every word of this.
So my thing was always this. Every time I after I left the WWE and went to WCW, we just had deal memos. I do a one-page deal memo.
What do you put on it? Just the term, money.
How long?
Right.
Compensation.
Right.
And then the royalties and merchandising was always a separate merchandising agreement that they had, and then you could always, go through that. But it was basically like
travel. Would you put travel and
accommodations
on
like first class air, for 4-star hotel, luxury rental cars. Yeah, the only thing Scott and I were paying for was gas and food.
Would you get a per diem?
No, Hulk did.
The Hogan contract. Charles Austin sued WWF for his injury in his match with the Rockers in 1990. He won $26.7 million. He sued that he wasn't explained the rocker dropper correctly, and the result of the move rendered him paralyzed. A jury did rule in his favor. $26 million. That was no joke.
Yeah, but who cares?
Yeah, but who wants to take the deal with the ramifications of that?
Yeah.
Martha Hart, of course, with Owen's death, she filed a wrongful death suit against WWF and the rigging company for Owen's device. $18 million was the settlement in mediation. DDP sued Jay-Z. Did you know this? Regarding the hand gesture of the diamond. Jay-Z started using the diamond hand gesture to help promote his brand in 2007. And DDP, in turn, sued. And they settled out of court. Wonder what that amount was. We'll have to call Dallas.
I sued Universal Wrestling Company, which was WCW after they went out of business.
Sued them for what?
I sued them for merchandise. They never paid us any merchandise.
Was that after they were assumed by WWE?
Yes. So I just waited. found all kind of, I'd go to stores and take, photographs and I'm talking about photographs, not off your phone. I'm talking about photographs. Mm-hmm. And I had put my case together, and the minute they called me up and they said, WWF has bought WCW. Do you want to come to Panama City and do the last show? Fuck no.
And by the way.
and by the way, John Taylor will be calling you tomorrow. Now it was so funny. So they want to mediate first. So we go to the top of, I think it was the Hyatt or the top of the Marriott in Atlanta, and I'm in Daytona Beach. It was a 45, 50-minute flight, and they provide car service, and I go, and they come in, and I think we asked for $2 million, and their opening offer was $50,000, and I got up, and I walked out of the room, and so half hour goes by, and I get a call, and Otto was one of the attorneys that worked for John, and Otto says to me, he goes, "Kev, where are you at?" And I said, "I'm on my way to the airport." He says, "What?" I said, "I'm on my way to the airport." And he goes, "Seriously?" I said, "No, I'm on my way to the airport." He goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm going home." I said, if we're at $2 million and their open is 50, like they need
There's too much to talk about.
Yeah, like we're not getting anything done. So he says, "Well, let me go back in there. Hold on a second. I'm in a cab. I'm on my way back to the airport. I didn't take their fucking car service. I just grabbed a cab in front of the hotel." So they've, oh my God, like, because that's what I before I left, I basically said, you guys have shredded all the paperwork. Like, you basically, like, you guys are, like, you can call yourselves Universal Wrestling Company, but you guys are Turner, and you guys at this point they're owned by AOL. I said, you're still, I said, you're a Fortune 500. Like, you guys, this isn't going to fly. And I just got up and left. And so then so we come back and we go, they said, what about 250? And I said, do I need to leave the room again?
If we're jumping by 200s, I have to leave another 10 times.
And she said, so finally the lady that's in charge says to me, she goes, "We're only allowed to settle up to $800,000. That's all I'm approved of." I said, "Why don't we break for lunch and see if you can't get approval for more than that?" So we broke for lunch. We came back, and there was another offer, and it was like, I'm on a non-disclosure, so I'm not going to.
Right.
I will say this, that it was just like, now that's a nice,
And more importantly,
it's incredible what that extra zero does.
But more importantly, you got a favorable NWA merchandise deal down the road, not just for what you hadn't been paid in back royalties, but going forward.
Going forward, once the WWF, now WWE has, I got a great deal, but they'd always taken care of me. The WWE has always taken care of me. I've never had any contractual problems with them whatsoever.
Okay. Except that long
500-page document, which you got down to a single-page deal memo just by cutting out 64 reasons to fire.
No,
you.
we never signed anything. Me and Paul was.
Which time was this? When
this is when I came back the CM Punk.
Okay, so that was fairly recent.
Yeah. So I knew that it wasn't gonna. I mean, I was like 50-something years old already.
Yeah, you were.
You know, I mean, it was like, and I just looked at Paul. I said, "We're like best friends. You want me to go? I'll leave. I'll tell you if I don't want to do this anymore. I'll tell you. Like, why do we got to do all this other shit? If I'm really a 1099,
right? But I mean, he's put in the position where he has to, right?
Well,
At the
yeah,
time,
but I mean,
it was Papa Vince was still running the deal.
Laurinaitis wasn't going to get me to fucking sign anything because I just said I don't care. I'll just go home.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's like when TNA put these this sheet out, and you had to sign your name and the time, and they were going to fine you if you were late. And I would sign my name, Kevin Nash, and for the time I would put 1099. And I did it every week. And they said, you know, they pulled me aside and I said, listen, I said, if you look.
So it was like a time, like signing into the class, like the classroom, you sign in?
Yeah, you had to sign in the time. And like there was but they would pick up, like I would have to go find the paper because I'd get there at 4. You know, and you had to be there like at 11 or something. I'd get there at 4 o'clock. And so finally I get pulled in, you know, they want to talk to me. And Dixie says to me, I said, listen, and I went ahead and I already printed it from the internet. And it says, you know, you are an employee if, and the number one thing is, you have to report to work at a specific time.
Right.
That's in the state of Florida. And that's where I'm signing. So I said, and Dixie, you know, looked at me and I said, I'd be more than happy to sit down and talk about stock options, medical, and whatever else you want to give me as an employee. If not, leave me the fuck alone. I'm not going to smarten anybody up to what I'm doing. Only person I'm worried about is me. Because I'm an independent contractor. I said, and they just went like, it wasn't like I got you know, gathered everybody up in the arena like 3 minutes later and said, hey, that you guys, by the way, they can't do that.
Right. No, yeah.
I didn't do that. Everybody else wants to, you know, be a sheep, be a sheep.
That lawsuit happened. Raven Canyon, Mike Sanders sued WWF regarding the independent contractor status. Many wrestlers were joined, but the lawsuit states wrestlers were intentionally and incorrectly hired as independent contractors. The case is thrown out over the wording in the details the wrestlers were signing. When I talked to Scotty about it, I think it was on air in Breaking Kayfabe. I think he said that there was a statute of limitations that had expired also, so maybe that was another of the contributing factors. So it wasn't like they didn't try, and I can't imagine that that's the only time that that's been brought to court once.
I think what happens though is as soon as you, like when you sent me the things and I saw how many times Edie it went after the WWE, I'm like, okay, well, you got to know that as soon as you put a lawsuit against somebody, you're burning that bridge. Well,
yeah,
you know. But guess what? If the entity no longer exists, you can sue them. I didn't see WCW having wrestling anytime soon.
Exactly. So there's the Nash strategy there.
Yeah.
Just be patient.
Don't
watch it start to die on the vine.
Yeah. Once you realize that you don't need to go back over that bridge, blow it up.
Right. Oh, let's see. Hogan
Hogan had his day in court, sued WCW for defamation of character regarding Vince Russo's shoot promo at Bash at the Beach. Hogan claimed Russo went into business for himself and went against the script on what took place at Bash at the Beach 2000 regarding his match with Jeff Jarrett. He also sued that he wasn't the featured wrestler on the show as required in the contract, and his right for creative control was denied. WCW countersued that Hogan didn't appear on 6 pay-per-views in a calendar year. Hogan won the defamation case, but the other stuff was dismissed. Billy Corgan sued TNA regarding non-payment on loans. Billy was helping TNA fund tapings due to a lack of money in the company. Billy thought by doing this he was buying into the company. TNA won the case and only ruled that TNA owed him the money back, no ownership in TNA. There was that racial lawsuit. WCW, Bobby Walker, Hardbody Harrison, and Sonny Ono for racial discrimination. Walker stated Caucasian opponents were told to make black wrestlers look bad. Also said there was a pay scale difference. It was settled out of court with WWF after they purchased WCW. So that's one of those things, man. When you buy a company, you buy its history.
Yeah.
And all the problems therein. Jeff Jarrett sued Anthem Sports for using footage from Global Force Wrestling. One of the hotter lawsuits in wrestling there. CM Punk and Colt Cabana sued each other regarding a lawsuit from their podcast. And Dr. Chris Ammon, he sues Punk and Cabana regarding this particular podcast. Punk went on Cabana's podcast to talk about how he was never diagnosed correctly with a staph infection. And Dr. Chris sued both for defamation. The rumor and innuendo was that WWE was funding the lawsuit to get back at Punk. I don't know if that's true, but Punk and Cabana do win.
I think that's a misprint. I think it was actually a yeast infection.
Oh, didn't get that from the mat, though, probably. I actually want to ask you, how did you guys not get staph infections every other week with just like
I remember
and scrapes
God,
on
what
the
was it,
filthy mattress?
What was the thing that
mats
that would go around? It was oh God, it was like scabies. There would be like scabie outbreaks. You know?
Yeah.
I remember one time they were cleaning. It was down at log cabin where they had the first power plant, and they were cleaning the mats, like the canvases, and oh my God, it was like if you took a white washcloth and went underneath your car and cleaned it, and then how many times you'd have to rinse it out. It was so disgusting. I was just like, oh God, we're on that.
Yeah.
That's why I always wore elbow pads. I always wore elbow pads. I was in long pants. I mean, I was as covered as I could be.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't believe that you didn't hear more about that stuff just because of how filthy those mats are. And you're getting scrapes, and I mean, even if you're not getting color, and
think of the amount of people that get staph infections in hospitals.
Yeah, where it's supposed to be sterile. Yeah,
exactly.
Matt Hardy sues TNA, and TNA sues Matt Hardy for trademarks. Impact filed a lawsuit against Matt Hardy for use of the broken gimmick. Impact thought they owned the gimmick because it was used on their TV, but Matt Hardy is able to get the trademarks signed over to him.
People don't know this, but Disturbed actually sued them both.
The group?
Yeah. Because I'm broken.
Sid sues WCW's holding company after the sale for his injury from early 2001. He says that he was pressured into jumping off the second rope at a WCW pay-per-view, which would lead to his injury, by Johnny Ace. He said he wasn't comfortable doing it, and Sid lost that case. Sable sues WWF.
Yeah, it's funny because Dutch, I was watching one of Dutch's podcasts, and Dutch said he got paid. And I was like,
Looking for a new facial style, facial hairstyle?
No, I always got along with Dutch.
I like Dutch.
If you wonder what I'm doing, there's like a black spot on the hardwood floor underneath me, and OCD man just saw it, and I was just like, okay, that's good. I got to get that off the ground.
When you roll back, I now just assume, as does the entire viewing audience, that you're relieving yourself in some capacity.
No.
All right.
No. But you know what? I won't make the mistake that I did last week.
You got a nice big fat bottle there, huh?
Yeah, I got a 32 ounce urine collector. I had to bail, man. I was just like, I'm thinking like, it was almost like when it was that same thing as when you hold your piss for like the last 40 miles you drive to your house. The minute you hit your driveway and you hit the remote for the garage, it's like that door never moves any slower than right then.
Right.
And it's just like, and I've always planted bushes around so I could just pop out and piss.
Getting gardening advice and everything today.
Yes.
Sable sues WWF for sexual harassment in 1999, trying to get out of her contract. She filed a $110 million lawsuit regarding sexual harassment. She sued that she was pressured to reveal her breasts on national television and that guys would punch holes in walls to see into the women's dressing room.
Was this after she was a completely naked Playboy?
Have to check that. This was 99. She wanted the rights to her name and also profits to future merchandise. It was settled. Nicole Bass.
Okay, I have to. I'm looking here at the notes, and Dom put that it was ringworm. That's what it was. It wasn't scabies. It was ringworm.
Oh,
that we used to get
spreading throughout the locker room. Okay. Nicole Bass sues WWF $120 million over sexual harassment. She claims to have been groped by the Brooklyn Brawler. Now, all right. For believability's sake, would you choose Lombardi?
Well,
not you. I'm talking about Nicole Bass. Maybe you.
She's saying Lombardi chose her.
No, I'm saying if you're going to cook up a lawsuit for sexual harassment.
Yeah, because nobody. I mean, Nicole Bass was not. God bless her. Was not a very attractive human being. So, my first choice would be somebody with a white stick with a red tip. That'd be my first choice as the harasser. Then maybe after that, I'd go with, wasn't like John Cena was gonna,
Right. Okay. Dawn Marie sues for wrongful termination regarding her pregnancy. She was told the job would be safe after she got pregnant. Then she was released, settled out of court. John Stossel for the Smack sued WWE regarding Dr. D. David Schultz. Schultz actually, I guess he didn't pay any of the money because he sued WWF, but he was really the one that lost in that whole deal because he was let go from WWE when it happens, and I don't think he's hired elsewhere. I don't recall seeing him.
That's such a great clip.
The Smack.
Yeah.
I
mean, that's so. I don't know him. I've never met him, but that got him over with me.
You never hung with Schultz?
No.
Yeah, because he was out of the business after that.
Blacklisted.
He won. Stossel wins $450,000. Jerry Lawler sues WWF regarding the King gimmick in the late '80s here, when they were using it with Harley Race.
I like this one. They
the settlement, the result.
Yeah.
Right. Well, see, so he says that that he's the king of Memphis forever, and he sues regarding that trademark, and he's so fucking over in Memphis. They come back and say that WWF is never allowed to promote anyone else as the king in Tennessee until, of course, Lawler goes to WWE eventually. That's huge. That's right along
how
the
about that? How
lines
about that whole the guy that lived in Graceland?
Elvis?
Didn't they call him the king?
Right, but already being dead, he couldn't run the city anymore. So,
That's true.
But Harley Race could, and his Ash. And yeah, so that's some of the that's
True,
the
true world 7-time true world champion.
I told that motherfucker.
I told that motherfucker that the next time you see me, officer, will be in the parking lot of the arena. I am the main event.